they just needed one opportunity to get off the field ultimately.
Come on, Spags, you couldn't get off the field
one time. And that's ultimately where we're going to start. We're going to dive pretty much right into the film aspect of this. I want to give you the full picture of what happened when I was going through this film. It was Thanksgiving, so I wasn't acutely aware of it happening in the moment. But the Chiefs had 7 third down opportunities to get off the field, and in which it was third down or 7+, third and long.
Yeah, I go hate this number.
Purposes. The Cowboys went 5 of 7 on those conversions, but I promise it gets worse because Dak completed 7 of those 7 passes for 101 yards and the touchdown. And the other 2 that didn't end up going for conversions ended up resulting in field goals on 4th down. So even when they didn't keep the drive going, they still ended up scoring points. It was a disgusting performance as far as the Chiefs' third down was concerned. And the overarching theme as far as the tape is concerned is just the fact that getting no pressure on Dak Prescott. And I said this coming after the Colts game. Their performance with some of the blitz looks that they were able to get Daniel Jones with was nice. It was a tip of the cap to the way in which they were able to adjust. Great job. Dak Prescott is not a quarterback that you can just blitz and fool the entirety of the game and get off the field. He is too great for that. He is going to kill you. And that's never mind receivers too. I was about to say, that's never mind the fact that he's got 2 great receivers that can line up anywhere, and he's got a good tight end, he's got a good receiving back, and they took advantage of it time and time again. And again, this isn't even including the fact that they were able to get conversions on third and medium, third and short. This is just the third and long must get off the field situations that the Chiefs failed at time and time again. So I just wanted to go through these because these really still tell the story, I should say, of the game from this perspective. Really, this is just a nice little out route from the slot. McDuffie's, playing a little inside leverage, and I kind of understand it. You wanted to throw the more difficult throw. In reality, in theory, he should have help inside if they're running a little cover one robber, because it seems like basically it is man across the board. But CeeDee Lamb, top of the routes, able to get that separation versus
the Chiefs played bad. The corners played bad. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Sure. It was a bad, and I think maybe this was probably indicative that it was a bad matchup for them. George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, and I hate to say this too. I blame one of our own on this show, Chuck, for the way that CeeDee Lamb played, because literally you called him not a top 5 receiver, not an elite receiver.
Chuck, that's probably the dumbest
he said you should have heard what Chuck was saying in the space pregame about Jalen Watson and George Pickens. And we saw how that worked out. Chuck cursed both of our cornerbacks.
Both
bad luck. Damn, Chuck.
Right. Anyway, but yeah, ultimately, I just think it's a bad matchup. Credit to the Cowboys and both of those receivers. Those guys.
Dak played well. I ain't gonna take that away from him. He made great throws.
All right,
yeah, and
he made great throws. Can't knock it.
That's ultimately what this comes down to for me. Again, I have my issue with the refereeing, but the Chiefs have a chance to overcome.
We still have a chance.
But nothing about this defensive performance was surprising to me. It just wasn't.
We knew everything.
You have a great quarterback that understands how to diagnose blitzes pre-snap, one of the best, if not the best, as far as that in the National Football League today. You got 2 great outside weapons that understand how to get open. You've got a tight end that understands how to get open over in the middle of the field. And you got an offensive line it's played improved. And if you can't affect the quarterback, that quarterback's going to kill you.
Shit, we could have went out there and threw the ball the way this line. Look at this pocket.
It's not
ain't nobody sniffing Dak Prescott.
It's not surprising what ended up happening. So we can continue on with this. Again, you see Dak has an amazing pocket here. He's just going to sit there. And even though they did run a little bit of a stunt here with Charles Minnie,
it's too late now.
It's too late. He gets into his drop bag. It's on time. Ball's out. CeeDee Lamb. That's easy pitch and catch for him. And so that's the first third down that they ended up getting, converting. Dak again, run a little sim pressure, even though they end up sending 5. Ultimately, they drop Charles Minnie out. They send the slot. They pick it up easily with the running back. They do run a game here on the left side of the offensive line. Dak Prescott kind of hangs in the pocket, has plenty of time.
Dak back there doing the hip dance before he – man.
Charles, he steps up in the pocket. Charles Omenihu, again, he's a defensive end dropping out because you're running a sim pressure, and he's not able to guard what should be his zone in the middle of the field.
Bro, Dak back there doing the Macarena before he threw the ball. Look at this shit. Run that play back. He hits twice and still got the ball off.
And this dig route is incredibly open to CeeDee Lamb. It just
dumb open. Our blitzes this year are terrible. I know we troll Justin Reed, but at least his blitzes hit home. He probably got burnt in coverage a lot. I will give him that. He was shitty in coverage. But when he blitzed, he got home. Our blitzes this year, we've been ass.
But the reality of the situation is with the blitzes is the problem in a lot of respects. I'll say 80% of the time. The problem is not necessarily who we're sending. And I say that in the sense that they can't get home. The problem is the fact that we're sending guys into blocked up looks because people have understood what Spags wants to do with his blitzes and adjusted accordingly. And nobody else is winning one-on-ones that is consistently created by blitzing too. So the combination of both those things means that the scheme isn't winning, the talent isn't winning, the quarterback has time to pick out whatever mismatches are created, whether it is man coverage, especially with these weapons that Dak has, or you get into zone coverage where you got guys dropping out because it's a sim pressure and your defensive end is trying to guard CeeDee Lamb on a dig route and he's open. So and we obviously saw what happened.
The days of dropping your ends in coverage, you got to stop that shit, Spags. I know it's been working for years, bro.
Well, you can't drop him into a hook zone.
What do you expect him to do? He's not used to being in that area.
You could drop him into a flat, maybe. And even that's
or even like an over the center hole shot, but not.
But you're dropping him straight into a hook zone in which he's got to cover 10 yards wide of space with CeeDee Lamb in the slot. That's an awful design. But hey, guess what? You can't win a one-on-one up front, so that's what you have to do. That's what you're forced to do on a consistent basis. Chuck, CeeDee Lamb is great. I don't know why you're still doing this.
I don't know why he's saying this shit. He's a dog, bro. Stop that. Stop that.
I wasn't even about to get into it with him. Like at this point, you just hating, bro.
I'm upset. I'm still upset with Chuck for the reasons we discussed for the pod.
That was fun.
So anyway, another third down. She's playing kind of a little bit of pretty much a Tampa 2, but it's really man on the outside. Trey McDuffie, CD does a little stutter and go. Dak puts the ball pretty much on the money as CD gets that separation, is able to bring the ball in. This was just there's no two ways about it. Poor days at the office for Trey McDuffie and Jalen Watson. These were superstar wide receivers that they're going up against. It's not easy by any means. And again, like I said, affecting the quarterback is the major piece of this. If you don't do that, then none of it matters. But they both had bad games, and you just got to flat out say that. This is an example of Trey McDuffie there getting beat on the outside by CeeDee Lamb.
Look how long it takes George Karlaftis to get there.
You don't get me started on that.
Like, bro, and like
you don't do that.
You walk,
and this is one of his better reps of the day, by the way. That's one of his better reps of the day, by the way. But even his best reps take this long.
Even close.
The pressure.
Come on, bro. This is a good route by CD. He's a good player.
It's a really good route, and it's a great throw by Dak. But even the best win by George Karlaftis the entirety of the day takes far too long to affect the quarterback. That's just the reality of the situation.
I've been saying for a while that look, I love Spags, and I this is one of my biggest complaints even at the beginning of the season. You have got to change your philosophy on defensive ends. This is not the era of Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger and Peyton Manning and guys that were complete utter statues in the pocket back there. Even with Dak, and I think Dak's pretty capable,
decently mobile.
But even him, bro, you cannot rely on just bull rushing and strength to get back there and create pressure. At some point in time, there's going to have to be a point in time where you're going to have to go away from what you've normally been scouting and looking at defensive end and get speed on this team. And then also Please start playing your younger players. I'd rather lose that way. It shouldn't take Brian Cook getting injured to get Jaden Hicks over 50% of the snaps on the field. It shouldn't take that. But it did. And honestly, I think this game would have been a lot worse had you not had Jaden Hicks out there for that amount of snaps. I'd hate to see what it would look like if Jaden Hicks and Brian Cook would have went down.
Honestly, it couldn't have gotten much worse. I will say this, and I talked about this I talked about this in the week leading up to this. A lot of people talk about, hey, no, Gray looks like he's going to end up missing this game. Trey Smith obviously was a major storyline with his ankle, but I was like, Christian Wallace is going to be a big piece of this not being out there because they had relied upon him very recently as far as being able to play that nickel and being a little safety as far as that versatility is concerned. And him being out in this game showed time and time again. And
he's our second best nickel behind Trent.
Yeah, I mean, it only got worse once Brian Cook went out. So, in my opinion, and I tweeted this out too, this is hopefully with these guys healthy, but their base safety set, in my opinion, has to be Brian Cook and Jaden Hicks. Shamari Conner just isn't an NFL player. I won't say NFL player. Isn't an NFL starter. Thank you. Isn't an NFL starter. He just has to be a backup, in my opinion, a fourth safety. I think their big nickel look should involve Christian Wallace in the nickel. If you really want to have that 3 safety look specifically, and then your regular nickel and dime packages, in my opinion, have to feature Trent McDuffie sliding inside and Noel Williams being on the outside. And if that includes CRW in the dime, then yes, no problem as far as that's concerned. And honestly, I could be talked into CRW being over Jaden Hicks because we've seen some of the mistakes from him. But guess what? You can't run Mike Edwards out there. I'm sorry. He's not an NFL athlete right now. He's just not. So that can't happen.
He still almost had an interception.
But if he was an NFL athlete, he might have been there a step earlier to be able to catch the ball. So and we'll talk about that when we get to one of the other third downs as we get to the last one. I believe it is the last one here. So frustrating to say the least. Anyway, this was one of the ones in which the Chiefs actually got off the field on. They run a little quick bubble to Ryan Flournoy here, and they're able to get the ball to him. McDuffie misses the tackle. They push him out of the bounds. Cowboys will go on and kick a field goal on that one. One of the ones in which the Chiefs actually did create some pressure, fortunately. Even still, Dak does a good job kind of extending the play long enough to get Jake Ferguson on the little release underneath. And he just gets enough yards to get the first down. Turns a 3rd and 9 into a 11-yard gain. They show the double-A look, kind of back off of it, only end up sending 4. Chris Jones ends up winning the one-on-one as a result of that double-A mug look. But, everybody else kind of drops a little bit too far. Ferguson takes advantage of it, shakes Trent McDuffie a little bit, and first down. And again, not a good game from Trent McDuffie. That's just flat out. Just wasn't.
Bad day at the office.
This is another thing that pisses me off too. Who picks up? If that's the look. Who's picking up the tight end leaking out? Whose job is it?
If you're doubling up, running back.
We should not. It should not be week 13, I hope this is coming from Spags as well too when they're watching the film. It's week 13, guys. We shouldn't be going over whose job is it to pick up the tight end.
Realistically on this play, because McDuffie is playing the role of Tampa 2. McDuffie's playing the role of Tampa 2 pipe runner. So essentially McDuffie does the right thing in the way that he's playing this. It's really on Shamari Conner, which is not a surprise for people because he can't play slot and because he can't go backwards. But he drops way too far. And I pointed this out. What game was it? There was a game a few weeks ago where somebody on the sideline caught the ball because Shamari Conner dropped way too far back. And it ended up resulting in a first down because it was 10-plus yards. he can't play with his mind going backwards. He just it messes him up too much. So he can't play close to the line of scrimmage here. And so I feel like I'm roasting him, and I'm not even making sure that it is him. Okay. Okay. I apologize. All the things that I just said were all true, by the way, as far as
it was
Shamari Connor. But Shamari Connor's the one that's mugging up. So Trent McDuffie drops back too far in this nickel look. Shamari's playing the
middle.
So McDuffie drops too far, and I understand why he does because the vertical. But even still, he drops too far, and then again, he misses the tackle here on Ferguson. You got to come up and make that tackle.
Trent got to come off that sooner. Once you get to 5-10 yards, you see George going because vertical. There's no other threat. You can come up and support now. So.
And Watson is taking that outside guy too. So
exactly.
Right here, go help on the inside. He's got to trigger it downhill and make sure that he's got that release valve, especially on the scramble drill on top of that. So that's on Trent McDuffie there. And people would be like, well, what about Nick Bolton? Well, Nick Bolton's supposed to be a part of the pass rush here. So he's, tracking him down from behind. It's not his job there. So that one's on Trent McDuffie for not triggering fast enough. And just frustrating, man. Again, bad day at the office from Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson. There's really no two ways around it. And this is one where you could have got off the field, flipped the field as far as that was concerned, put yourself in a really good position too. Another little mugged up look. They end up sending basically cover zero. Cowboys get to a stack at the top of the screen ultimately, and ends up creating a nice little play to George Pickens as a result. Jalen Watson does a good enough job, trying to get him on the ground. Again, bad day at the office for Jalen Watson. But anyway, slant to Jalen Watson, which became a theme on the last drive of the game, to say the least. Pickens shakes him off, gets outside, shakes Mike Edwards, again, not an NFL athlete at this current moment in time.
Mike looks so old.
Hurdles Trent McDuffie. Thank God Trent just got enough of him. But, I mean, I understand why Watson is playing there because he knows he doesn't have help over the top. It's just... You got to slant after slant after slant.
Because if you playing outside leverage, he's just going to slant you to death.
Exactly. At a certain point, you think you would
play inside leverage.
Play the inside leverage at some point.
He did play inside leverage and still got beat. So it was just a bad day, bro.
It was a bad day. It was a bad day, point blank period. And a great play by George Pickens specifically after the catch. Stops on the dime, gets outside. Like you said, Mike Edwards just looks so old.
Mike's so slow.
And McDuffie just got enough of them to prevent the touchdown. They would end up scoring right after anyway. And then on the next drive, they ended up driving down here again, another third down, essentially cover zero look, send the house. Bone gets right in his face. Get the ball out to George Pickens on the short out. McDuffie does a good job coming up here, making a play. Creates a fumble.
God, we gotta get that. We gotta get that ball.
And Kevontae Turpin beats everybody to the
Johnny
ball.
On the spot. He was already in full dead sprint.
Yeah, and that's
Drew trying to tackle. So it's God.
And then it's indicative of the day for the Chiefs defense. Third downs, you can't get off the field. You give up 5 third down and long specifically. But even on the ones that you stop them, and you end up forcing field goals, obviously, it just wasn't enough. And the play before this, they roll out, make a play action. Mike Edwards comes down, is a step slow to being able to get the interception. And then this play right after, they get the cover zero look, they get the immediate pressure, get the ball out short. McDuffie makes a good play, and ultimately makes a game-changing play. Because if you can get this fumble recovery, then all of a sudden things look so different, and you aren't. So that's 3 points down. It's a 1-possession game. Ultimately, you're not down 10 there with that next drive. Ball on the ground, and they were just a step slow. And honestly, that's what the Chiefs defense has felt like for a lot of the season. They feel the step slow. They feel slow at the linebacker position. They feel slow on the defensive line, and they feel slow way too often as far as the defensive backs are concerned. And that is a sad place to be. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of it does have to do with some of the Spags personnel decisions that he's made and how they've come home to roost. So that was indicative of what was really a frustrating performance by the Chiefs defense.